Hi, hello everyone. A great day to all of you and welcome back to my channel. Today I have come with a new topic, that is the biography of the famous ancient writer Homer. Homer 850 BCE, 750 BCE. Homer was the ancient Greek epic poet traditionally credited with composing the Iliad and the Odyssey, two foundational works of Western literature that explore heroism, fate, and a human struggle. Though little is known about his life and origins, his poetic genius shaped Greek culture, philosophy, and storytelling for over 2,700 years. Period traditionally placed around 8th century BCE. Some sources suggest 9th or 7th century BCE. Birthplace disputed among 7 cities. Smyrna, that is modern Izmir, that is Turkey. Chios, Colophon, Ithaca, Pylos, Argos, and Athens, each claiming to be his birthplace. Nationality, ancient Greek. Occupation was an epic poet, oral bard, storyteller. Death, unknown, though ancient tradition suggests he died on the island of Ios, Greece. Homer is the earliest and most revered figure in Western literary tradition, often regarded as the father of epic poetry. Very little is known about his actual life, and much of what is said about him comes from legend and later biographical speculation. Childhood and education. There are no verifiable records of Homer's childhood or education, as he likely lived during a pre-literate or oral storytelling era. According to later traditions, he was blind, a belief originating from the description of a blind bard in his own works. For example, Demodocus in the work The Odyssey. Some ancient biographers claim he was a wandering minstrel or rhapsode, performing epic poems orally before writing systems were standardized in Greece. He may have received a training in oral composition, performance, and the memorization of heroic songs, possibly in the Ionian region. Personal life. Almost nothing factual is known about Homer's personal or family life. Ancient traditions portray him as a solitary, wise, and inspired figure, often revered as semi-divine. Myths describe him as a poor bard traveling across cities, reciting his poems for hospitality rather than wealth. Homer's major works. Homer is credited with composing two of the greatest epics in world literature, the Iliad. Theme of the work is the wrath of Achilles and the final days of the Trojan War. The setting of the work is the plain of Troy. Central idea is heroism, fate, honor, mortality, and the destructive nature of anger. The structure, 24 books, 15,000 lines of dactylic hexameter. The next work is the Odyssey. Theme is the long perilous journey of Odysseus returning home from Troy. Setting of the work is the Aegean Sea and Ithaca. Central idea is adventure, endurance, intelligence, loyalty, and human resilience. Structure of the work, 24 books, 12,000 lines. Both of these epics form the foundation of Greek education, religion, and identity, influencing storytelling across centuries. Key themes in Homer's works: heroism and honor, Cleos and time. Explores what it means to achieve glory and eternal reputation through deeds. Fate versus free will. Mortals and gods struggle within divine destiny. Mortality and transcendence. The human condition's fragility contrasted with the desire for immortal fame. Hospitality, that is, xenia. Social and moral duty in Greek culture. Revenge, justice, and forgiveness. Especially in the Odyssey, through Odysseus' moral evolution. Role of the gods. Interference of divine beings shaping human destiny. War and peace. The Iliad glorifies and critiques warfare simultaneously. Wisdom through suffering. Emotional and spiritual learning derived from pain. Legacy of the writer Homer. Homer's works shaped the entire Greek educational system, serving as textbooks for rhetoric, ethics, and philosophy. Homer is regarded as the first great poet of Europe, setting literary standards for epic storytelling. The term Homeric has become synonymous with a grandeur, heroism, and a majesty. His influence extends to Virgil's Aeneid, Dante's Divine Comedy, John Milton's Paradise Lost, and James Joyce's Ulysses, and beyond. Homeric Greek became a linguistic standard studied by generations of scholars. The Homeric question, there is debate about his authorship and whether the poems were written by one person or many, remains one of literature's greatest mysteries. Present importance of Homer. Homer's epics continue to be studied in schools and universities worldwide as masterpieces of poetic structure, symbolism, and human psychology. His works are central to Western civilization, providing moral, philosophical, and aesthetic foundations for literature and art. The Iliad and Odyssey are read in numerous translations and adapted in films, operas, and modern novels. His depiction of heroism, suffering, and the search for meaning remains universally relevant. Honors and a cultural impact of the writer Homer. Though Homer lived before formal awards existed, his honor lies in his timeless influence. His name was associated with schools, academies, and festivals across Greece and later Europe. The Homeriad, a guild of poets on Chios, claimed to be his descendants and preserved his epics through oral recitation. Statues and busts of Homer were erected in temples, libraries, and cultural institutions throughout ancient and modern times. Political and social engagement. Homer himself was not politically active, but his works shaped Greek notions of justice, kingship, and heroism. His portrayal of leadership, democracy, and the human dignity influenced the Greek political thought and later Western ideals. Philosophers like Plato and Aristotle discussed his epics as moral and educational models impacting civic and ethical philosophy. Homer codified oral storytelling into structured epic poetry, creating the model for narrative coherence. He introduced the psychological depth to characters, making them morally complex rather than one-dimensional heroes. His use of extended similes and epithets, for example, rosy-fingered Dawn, swift-footed Achilles, became a stylistic hallmark. The epics preserved an ancient mythology, geography, and a Bronze Age culture, acting as historical as well as literary treasures. The Homeric question. Scholars still debate whether Homer was a single poet or a symbolic name for a group of storytellers. Blindness legend. Ancient biographers believed Homer was blind, possibly symbolizing inner vision or divine inspiration. The language. His dialect blends Ionic and Aeolic Greek, suggesting that his poems evolved through multiple oral traditions. Memorization feat. The Iliad and the Odyssey together contains about 27,000 lines, a monumental feat of oral memory. Archaeological link. Henrik Schellmann's discovery of Troy in the 19th century gave a historical credibility to Homer's epics. No written manuscript. The poems were likely written down centuries after his death, possibly during the 6th century BCE. Universal archetypes. Many literary archetypes, the hero, the mender, the trickster, the faithful wife, find their earliest refined forms in Homer's epics.